Okay, I would like to make a short, I know, verbally abusive video on everything that's always flipping wrong with townhomes. Yay! I'm so excited. So, I don't know why this is. Well, it could be for a variety of reasons, right? But I would call these are like the always freaking wrong tropes of a townhome job. And I will say that this will apply to a townhome job that you're designing to commercial code, and it will apply to design that you might be doing for residential code. But since we're here, let's talk about it. Typically, you most people want to do a townhome to the residential code, predominantly because it's less expensive than trying to build a townhome job to a commercial code. You're allowed to do single family up to kind of 3-story individual homes and townhomes per the residential code. See local codes. But if you do it to the single family home code, you, as an architect, that's a code that we're typically unfamiliar with. But you want to make sure that you double check and, the codes that you are going to try to target. And then you want to make sure that you are listing the correct codes on the cover sheet, which I think this particular job does a fairly good job of, but I still question some of the things that are here. We start off strong, right? We see Florida residential code building, Florida residential code mechanical. That seems very believable. Then we switch to Florida building code plumbing, which is sort of surprising because the Florida building code for plumbing seems an awful lot like a commercial code, but maybe there a lot of overlap. It's perfectly possible. And then, of course, the building code gets listed 2 more times for energy conservation and fuel gas. And I would say right away, I know the fuel gas probably shouldn't be listed because I seriously doubt this job actually has gas anything. Almost like 99% sure, right? So just make sure when you start off any townhome job and any job, obviously, that you're double checking your codes. Another one, the 2010 ADA Americans with Disabilities Act. I don't think ADA applies to single family or townhomes. And if it did, I'd be willing to bet that I could dig through this set and find things that don't comply with 2010 ADA. So that's sort of out. So right off the bat, we're into unfamiliar territory and we're making theoretical missteps already. But maybe this is right. I'll give some rope to saying maybe this all comes from Florida. Florida's a crazy state. Maybe that's the way it needs to be. Who knows? I'll give them some rope. Here's where it really goes piss out, right? So I've got the ever popular Matrix, and this son of a bitch matrix comes back wrong every single time. Why does it come back wrong every single time? Because the units that are in the buildings, the names of those units, and then the names on the enlarged unit plans don't seem to match what's in the matrix. And these things should match exactly all the way throughout. Let me give you an example. Townhome A, per this matrix, should be made of 5 townhomes that are all 2-bedroom -1. Here is Townhome A. 3 2BR-1s and 2 2BR-2s. Wrong already. Now, is it just a couple of windows? Sure. But we need to list out what those differences are, or at the very least, you're going to get the question, right? Which kicks us into the enlarged unit plans, which also show a 2BR-1 and a 2BR-2, which, by the way, graphically speaking, it's, in my mind, it's easier if this is the bottom floor, that the second floor would be on top of it, that they would stack. I mean, there's nothing, there's no like committee of you drafted it wrong that's going to police, that it's going to come tell you that it should be on top of each other. But I guarantee that like contractors and somebody just thinking logically through it that, second floor would be on top of the one that, yeah, it's okay. No matter, right? Not a big deal. The big deal is 2BR-2 needs to be documented in the matrix, which leads me to the second point about townhomes. It just seems to be so consistently wrong, or we'll call it confusing, right? So if you're doing it to the residential code, I would assume that each one of these big dashed red lines is designed, and this is pretty typical, that this would be a firewall. Now, it's going to be a firewall, not exactly like the International Building Code, because it's going to be subject to the the Residential Building Code, right? But they should be labeled, I think, as a firewall, and have all the appurtenances and the detailing and the notes that clearly delineate that it is A, a firewall, and B, it goes from the concrete floor all the way up to the underside of roof deck, right? So let's see if we can follow that very critical contractor step throughout the set of drawings. It says 2-hour rated wall, resident room separation per UL 347. At no point did they call it a firewall in that demarcation, but let's see what it looks like here. Here is U347. Yes, they show it going to the underside of roof deck. So I do believe it is a quote-unquote true firewall. They've got it. About the blocking between that. You might want to make a different note if it's gonna be 2x6, but that's all right. I'm sure you can make that blocking work. And then we got a note that says fire rated roof sheathing shall be constructed 4 feet of each side of the deck. All right. Okay, that definitely looks like a firewall. So if I'm here, is there any tag on these floor plans? Let's look at building type A. Is there any tag that tells me to go look at wall partition number 8? Oh, and they do call it a firewall here. Okay, so there's nothing on the floor plans that says go look at a firewall. There's nothing here that says go look at it. It's a firewall. And then it gets worse, because the first thing I see is it does have a big red line. There is something about fire rated sheathing, but then this person puts a note to it and calls it draft stopping. And the draft stopping in area above tenants does point at the firewall, so that's super confusing, because then it could be built as draft stopping, which is way less than a firewall. And then there's a note that just points off to, I'm assuming this is the slope of the roof, but that is damn confusing. We'll just mark that one up to comedy of graphics, right? But that's kind of a big issue. Not clearly saying it's a firewall throughout the set can cause you probably a lot of issues if you're not careful. I would also recommend here that it doesn't look like, alright, so let's see the box venting. The venting is a whole nother issue. It's not why we're here today, but yeah, I would definitely think about the box vents. It doesn't look like there's enough. Alright, anyway, moving on. At what point in this super duper set can I figure out that this wall is supposed to be a firewall? That says 8A2. 8A, I don't know what the 2 is about. Okay, 2-hour fire rating. So there we go. They've got it. You have to go all the way to the enlarged unit plans to sort out that that's supposed to be a firewall. And then let's see if they've got, yeah, okay, so there's your exterior wall. Alright, so now I've got walls in here. This kind of ends up being a double wall, but there's no tag to it. This door, I assume that this door is supposed to be here, which is why there's no dimension to it. I'm assuming that's just a drafting error. But yeah, and there's only the one tag. So where is a unit? What I'm looking for is where is the unit that shows it as a bathroom that backs up to the right. So oh, it's a laundry. Okay, let's see if I can figure out the other side of this coin vis-a-vis the laundry here. Oh, hey, this has got a double wall on it. Wow, that's weird. I wonder if that shows up in the enlarged unit plans. Alright, let's see. 2BR-2. That's at 8B. Oh, but this loses the firewall rating somehow. Ruh-roh. I don't know. I don't know how big of a deal that is. But yeah. I think you get the point that if you got a major building element like a firewall, it needs to be clearly called out throughout your set. If you got different kind of units, they need to be clearly called out and documented throughout the set. And boy, do we get that all kinds of wrong, especially consistently when it comes to townhomes. So, point of the talk, right? Easy 10 minutes. If you're doing townhomes, pay attention to drawing consistency throughout the set. For some reason, there's just something about townhomes where that consistency gets eroded for a variety of reasons, but it just shouldn't happen. Okay? Easy enough? Cool. This has been fun. These look like nice little townhomes. Hopefully we'll get them fixed up and we'll be right as rain.